Friends, what's up? Sumner here. Got a cigar. Got about 30, 40, 50 minutes. Who knows how long this video will be. To just riff, go over land investing stuff, business stuff, life stuff. I enjoy making these videos. I filmed one a couple days ago, and it seems like you guys really enjoyed it. And honestly, for me, this is what I enjoy. I enjoy just sitting down, having a conversation. I don't like the hyper edited videos. I like this. So hopefully you like this. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up. Give it a subscribe or a comment, just so I know. Give me some feedback. And we're gonna have some fun here, man. I got a lot on my mind. I always seem to have a lot on my mind, for better or worse. As I spark this up, I put a little link for you guys down below. We just re-released our purchase agreement for free. So if you're in land and you want to get a purchase agreement that we use on the acquisition side, we've used it to buy literally millions of dollars worth of land. It's free, no strings attached. You guys can go to that link down there, probably in the description too if you want, and go and snag that. I know a lot of people charge for that. If you're just getting started, I want you to have the right purchase agreement, not get yourself into a real pickle. Sit down and get comfortable. Grab a cigar if you want. Let's talk. I don't know if this is going to be a good cigar. It's like a weird Indonesian cigar. They're quite hit and miss. But man, a lot going on. We're having a crazy month in our own land business. It's been really big dispositions month. Unfortunately, some deals falling apart at the finish line on the dispo side. You know, the interesting thing is, like, when I got started in this business, that stuff used to drive me nuts, man. Oh man, I would get into a real tissy. I was a real softie with that stuff. So we'd have a sale on the dispo side. We're selling the property. Contract falls apart. Buyer backs out. Whatever it may be. I'd be in a tissy. Same thing on the acquisition side, right? We got a deal. We're closing on it. Seller backs out, or there's title problems. We can't close on it. I'd be in a real tissy. Same thing. I'd count my eggs before they would hatch. I'd have deals that were like contracted or about to be contracted, and then they fall apart. And it's like nowadays, and really in the last few years, I just become completely immune to it. It doesn't rattle me. What I've learned is every deal sells, and your best deal is probably right around the corner. And so when you lose deals, it's really no harm, no foul. And I think that's a kind of the place where you need to get to, where you just have this equanimity in your business to where you're not getting hung up in the highs and the lows, because the highs and the lows, well, that just comes with the territory. So a couple cool things. Got a lot cooking now these days. I was giving you guys some updates on some of the cool stuff that we're working on in our land business right now. We've been doing a kind of a test run with cold email to going and getting seller leads. It's been working pretty damn well. Better than I would expect. It has been very, very complicated to set up. Honestly, a huge pain in the ass. It's like, and there's still problems that we run into literally every day. Like, I was just before filming this video, we were settling problems with our opening rate going down, and you have to open up a million different domains and a million different email addresses, and some of those email addresses get marked as spam, and you get 3 spam strikes, and then you're essentially out. So it's been a real confusing process, but we're getting about 40% open rates, 1 to 3% response rates, and in multiple 5 figures average gross profit on these deals. And some of those stats are merged together. I've been working on some of the stuff with some friends, so those stats are all kind of commingled together. But we're all seeing pretty similar results, and it's not our biggest marketing channel by any means, but it's pretty damn cool. And I think if you're a land investor that's sitting on this stockpile of data, right, even if you've been marketing this business for a year, you probably have a couple 100,000 records that you're just sitting on. There's real wisdom to going and saying, how can I penetrate those lists deeper? And I mean that in the most platonic way possible. Like, how do you go and get that list out there that you already own and go touch it from different angles? And you're going to reach new people, but you're also going to reach the same people, but you're going to reach them in a different way. It might remind them of you, or it might just resonate in a different level. There's a really powerful marketing kind of concept called omnipresence. And this is why eventually building out kind of a marketing flywheel in your land business is the ultimate goal, for a few reasons. One, again, we can penetrate our list deeper. If you're just doing mail forever, that's awesome, but there are folks that you're missing on that list. They're just not receptive to mail, or they have a bad address. You can't get a hold of them. Like, for whatever reason, mail is never going to get to them, or mail gets to them, they're just not receptive to it, right? Then the other layer to it is, like, there's this omnipresent effect. So let's say I'm commuting to work, right? And on my commute, I see a big billboard. On that billboard, there's I almost said Dirty Sanchez. There's Johnny Sanchez, really weird name. He's a dentist, though. I would never go to a dentist named Johnny Sanchez or Dirty Sanchez. But you see this billboard, right? And you don't think much of it. You're like, all right, whatever, billboard. Okay. You go into the office, someone's playing the radio in the office, and you hear an ad for that same guy, Johnny Sanchez. Like, okay, that's interesting. I remember seeing his billboard earlier today. Then you're driving home, and on the radio, you also hear another ad from him. Okay, that's kind of interesting. And then a week later, you're scrolling Instagram, you see a video ad on Instagram from him. Like, dude, this guy's all over. This guy's the real deal. 6 months later, your tooth hurts. You're probably calling Johnny Sanchez, because what happens is there's this layer of trust that's built. When I see a stranger in multiple different places, they're no longer a stranger to me. There's a trust that's built there. It's kind of like a little psychological hack within the brain of a human. And you get that effect to start working for you when you're leveraging other marketing channels. Now, for newer land investors, if you're not doing a couple 100,000 records a year or multiple six figures, don't even think about that. Like, the best advice for someone that hasn't cracked past 250,000, 300K, 500K, whatever it may be, is like one marketing channel until you take it as close to its kind of furthest logical conclusion. Like you become an expert at it and you have it working and you have a team that helps kind of assemble it, make sure it hums along in the background, and then you can go build that new channel. And every time we build a new channel in our business, even if it's just a marketing channel, it's almost like building a new business within our business. And so you need the other parts of your business to ensure that they're actually humming along and cruising. Otherwise, you're going to have all these subpar channels that aren't really working, and like you're spread really thin. And you're trying to manage all of them and do all of them yourself. And so yeah, it's a cardinal sin. It's so funny how many folks get caught up in this like notion of scale and growing, and they lose sight of like being proficient. And it's like either you've got money or you've got some results, and so you think, oh, now it's time to grow. Now it's time to build a big team. Now it's time to add the new marketing channels. But like, a lot of times you're not even proficient at the thing, and that blows my mind. And that's why I'm such a stickler by the fact that like you really don't need that much money to start this business. Someone asked me the other day, they said, Sumner, how can I get enough money to start this business? I said, what a stupid question. Go work another job. I don't know. Like, go save some money. It might take you 6 months, might take you a year, might take you 2 years. But we're talking about saving up $10,000 to $20,000. Like, go save. And that's really all you need to get started. If you play your cards right, if you've got like a system to follow, if you just go throw out $10,000 worth of mail, unlikely that's going to play out well, at least long term. And so yeah, if you've got too much capital and you're like overfunded, I feel like you start to sidestep being proficient at the things and starting to like hire or use agencies for them. I don't know anything about acquisitions, but I'm gonna hire an acquisition manager, and those people get themselves in trouble. And even though it's like you might have been successful elsewhere, you have a lot of money, it's usually a really, really bad idea to delegate or move on until, again, you are proficient at that thing or your team's proficient at those things. But typically for your team to be proficient at it, you first have to be proficient at it. Who's the guy that's going and writing all these cold emails and cracking the code and figuring out the system? It's me. That might seem like such a weird use of my time, but I've just found that across the board, that's the only way to do it, at least in my opinion. And so I build the system. Well, first I go learn the system, then I build the system. Okay, I should do more like this. I learn the system, I improve the system, I build the system, I pass the system off to someone else. And I just keep on doing that over and over and over and over again, and literally in every part of the businesses that I'm a part of. It's a weird way to say it, but and when you understand that code, you recognize that the game of business is so fucking simple that everyone's just overcomplicated it. It's not easy, but it's that fucking simple. You go and learn the thing yourself. Okay, let's say you go learn how to do copywriting. Then you get good at copywriting. Then you learn the business of copywriting, how to like get clients and make money copywriting, but it's just you, right? And then from there, you start finding people that want opportunity in the world of copywriting, and you have the promise of making money and the promise of you'll learn from me and get better, and the promise of you're going to be part of a mission, something cool. And then you pass off everything that you know, and you segment parts of that process, and they own parts of that process, and you give them a vehicle to where they can grow. And that's how you create leverage. That's how you create something that can like hum in the background with or without your involvement. I mean, you're still going to be involved, but maybe not in those core roles that you were in the beginning. It's just that simple. I see like these people that either try to circumvent that or they just get stuck forever being the one to do it. And yeah, it's crazy to me. Kind of unrelated to land, but I think part of the reason people get stuck being the ones to do it bad gross margins. If you have a business with bad gross margins off the rip, it's so hard to grow. That's the beautiful thing about land, is like your gross margins are fucking awesome. Like they're amazing. Now your profit could look a little different. Everyone's got different, team sizes and operational costs and all that stuff. But like, your general gross profit, you're talking about making 20, 30, 40, 50, 100K for every deal that you do. Very few businesses can relate to that. And so if you have a business that's very thin on the gross margins, those are typically hard businesses for you to ever get out of. That's the beauty of land. That's why you see folks that like build land businesses where in 2 years their life is unrecognizable and they're living an existence they never thought was possible. It's because you've got healthy gross margins and you can build a team and you can create leverage. It's just like they do when you start to like see the business world for what it is. It's simple, honestly. And it's amazing that no one teaches us this stuff. That's amazing to me. I think the vast majority of humans, I don't know about all, but the vast majority of humans are better suited to be entrepreneurs. They just haven't had that awakening. They haven't been educated around it. I actually think that like if you look at human civilization, I feel like we've been bartering and trading and creating for a long time and kind of specializing like, oh, I create silk and this person creates mare's milk and you trade them. And it's like kind of lost that a little bit nowadays. And it almost seems like it's been deliberate to weed that out of us. But once you start to kind of wake up to these things, it's like, oh, duh. Now, not everyone wants it. I understand not everyone wants that for sure. And you can't really have it. I mean, you could have a system where everyone is doing that, but it definitely becomes tough for sure. Because how do you create leverage? I guess through AI or code or something like that. Which I wonder if there's ever going to be in our lifetime a world to where like the idea of mundane jobs is just gone. That very well could happen. I think at that point you do need to have some kind of universal income to some extent, as crazy as that sounds. And I'm not a communist or a socialist, and I believe in free markets. But if that does happen, and you take all the jobs away, or the majority of the jobs away, there has to be some kind of counterbalance. You have to have a safety net for those people. And that's a totally different topic for a different day. And on that note about AI, I think it's kind of interesting as it relates to land and business. I've been a really slow mover, and I typically am a slow mover. I'm never the guy on the cutting edge. And I think that serves me and doesn't serve me in some ways, and it may serve you, may not serve you in some ways. I think a lot of these things are dead ends, honestly. And I think a lot of people, if you get caught up in it's like what's new and chasing Web3 and crypto and this and that, and like getting too lost in the sauce before these things have proven themselves out and proven them to be effective, you can get lost in the sauce. And I think that is a waste of time. But I think being like a second or third mover on these things is pretty smart. We're still so early on AI, but we've been using AI, believe it or not, to create all of the short form videos you guys see here on YouTube. I used to have a team of, I think, maybe 3 or 4 editors that were just pumping out 5 or 10 shorts a day, I forget, on YouTube. And it's costing us thousands of dollars a month to do that. And nowadays with AI, it's like we have AI go and take these long form videos, chop them into short forms. It costs us 1/100th of the price. And honestly, they're getting more views. It's crazy. We have it help us with writing listing descriptions for our properties. We have it help us find basic due diligence on the property. Have it help put together emails and newsletters and things like that. So it really cool. If you guys are interested, the tool that I've been using is called Swell AI, and there's a few other ones out there that have been pretty powerful. And I've been, again, a late mover on it. But I think there's some really cool stuff. Now, of course, inside of Land Insights, the tool that we built for land investors, and actually I'll throw up on the screen the Chrome extension. It's totally free if you guys want to go grab it. Heavy use of AI there. And some really cool stuff that we've got coming out with our comping engine inside of Land Insights. It's going to be a free tool for folks that are in there. Really crazy stuff. I mean, it is bananas. We're getting to the point where there still needs to be human oversight, and there probably will be for a long time. But there's nothing out there that does what we're releasing here at the beginning of 2025. It's bananas. And we've been using it in our business for about 6 months. And if you're inside of Leah, you've seen us use this on these coaching calls. It's mental. It's really cool. So I'm super excited about that. Again, that Chrome extension is just like the light version of Land Insights for helping to run comps. Probably save you about 30 minutes to an hour per day on comping properties, depending on how much time you're spending comping properties and how many properties that you're looking at. Super duper cool. Yeah, God, where else do I want to go with this? I think that the land business, as I was saying in previous videos, has changed and is changing. And I've been saying this for a while, but I really, in my experience, think the high end and the low end of the market is just dead right now. If you're going and buying, 2,000, 3,000, $5,000 properties, we're having just such a difficult time selling those. And then same thing if you're trying to move 2 million, 3 million, 5 million, $6 million properties. I feel like I'm not selling properties that big, but I feel like those are hard to move as well. We're finding a lot of traction like that 50 to like $150,000 range, and those are bringing home the bacon for us. So if you are playing that game of going and fishing in the wrong pond, as liquidity starts to dry up in this business, I think the top end and the low end get chopped pretty hard, and that makes sense to me. I think there's the quantity of like qualified buyers kind of in the middle, and people that are well off are still buying those properties in the middle. It's not like it's just like middle class folks. In fact, buying $100,000 property is still pretty much a luxury item. It's not really a necessity. So you're still dealing with the upper echelon. I don't think the upper echelon's going and buying a $5 million property. I mean, maybe some super, super high net worth people, but for the most part, there's very few of those out there. So we still talk to people that are trying to run these outdated models, these outdated playbooks of the $2,000 property in the middle of the desert with $99 down and $99 a month, and I just not seeing that model work very well. And they still do sell. I'm not saying that properties will pretty much always sell. It's just quickly, how quickly do they sell, and at what percentage of its retail value will it sell at? But we've got properties that are from like our owner finance portfolio, and some people default on them, and they give up on them and say, "Hey, I'm done with them," and those get relisted, and those are just sitting forever, man. Crickets. Super, super hard to move those things, even with crazy terms. $49 down for a $5,000 property, you still can't get someone to place it. And then same thing for those that do. It's like, because some of those folks get really hit hard when things change, that's the first thing to go. That's not really a priority for them. And so I just think that's the wrong business model to be in. Same thing for people that are doing like these massive, multi-million dollar entitlements and stuff. I think it's a bad time to be playing that game right now. I think that those land developers are going to get crushed and are getting crushed from what I've seen. I've just seen price cuts and price cuts. And I had my first entitlement project over like the last 7, 8 months. It was a great learning lesson. I don't think I would do it again, at least not anytime soon. It would have to be such a no-brainer, such a clear, obvious play. And this was what felt like such a clear, obvious play. This was a property sitting in the heart of like I would call it like a B plus metropolitan area, definitely a growing market in a very hot state with really friendly development rules, with big, publicly listed developers in the market. It was in a starter home market, so you're talking about houses that are $150,000 to maybe $200,000, maybe $250,000 for a new build. It's had all the utilities set up, it's had everything it needed, multiple points for access. What looked like a decent price based off of our underwriting. And we were just going to sell it as paper lots, and ended up being so hard to find a developer to take it on. There was just nowhere near as much demand as we thought. The prices that we were getting just wouldn't even begin to make sense. The request on how they needed the lots to sit would require crazy feats, rezoning, buying adjacent properties to create access through, pulling water lines, because they didn't want to build on properties that were whatever, larger than 10,000 square feet or 8,000 square feet or something like that. The dispo process was so hard, like to hunt these people down, and they didn't really have any interest in talking to us, yada, 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 yada. And it's just not my strong suit. I have zero interest in playing that game. In fact, that game is my version of living hell. Like, that is my version of hell. Dealing with Fortune 500 or whatever, big publicly traded companies, doing business with them, dealing with city council meetings. Ugh, no, never, ever. I'm an entrepreneur. I am not a developer. I'm not a real estate developer. Never claimed to be one. I'll never claim to be one. And it's ironic that I'm in the land business, but truly, I could not think of a worse career path for me than trying to be a land developer. But like anyone, you fall into the zeitgeist, right? And the zeitgeist and land, for whatever reason, for the last year and a half, 2 years, has been, flipping is where you start, but it's not where you end. You got to become a subdivider, then you got to become an entitler, then you got to become a developer. And it's like, it seems like everyone's playing that game. And I think it's a fool's errand. And I think some people are going to be really well suited for it, but I think the vast majority will not be and are not well suited for it and should not go down that rabbit hole. And so I fell for the trap. But like anything, we've learned a lot. There's pieces that we've taken away from this experience that will serve us in other areas. We end up selling the deal. We just are kind of in the process of wrapping up one of the last lots. It was 2 lots that we ended up selling off as is to a developer. Made a few bucks on it, but certainly not worth the time at all. Would never do again. Pass, 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 pass. So if you're watching this, be careful of falling for the zeitgeist, And I think for most people here, the intention is not to become a land developer. There's folks in my network, there's folks in our community that are doing very, very well just flipping. And I think for most people, if they could make 300, 400, 500, maybe $1 million a year after expenses, like that's profit, and just flip land, have a really chill life and a good lifestyle and a good team, but a small team, have the location freedom. I think most people would like that. In fact, if you think you would like that, I'm speaking to you. You should go to that link down below because that's exactly what we help build inside of Leah. Inside of Leah, we have a 6-figure guarantee as well. 6 figures in gross pipeline profit in 12 months. We will work with you until you get there. And to the scarce mind, to the mind that can't believe that's real, people are oddly repelled by that because it's such a strong offer. They say that's impossible. Like that, it can't be possible. No, it is possible. Is it a guarantee that you'll get there in 12 months? No. But what we're saying is we'll work with you until you do. And of course, we've got guidelines. There's rules to the road. It's not just come on in, take your time, do what you want to do, chill. You don't want to send mail until your 10th month. No worries. We'll work with you forever. No, there's rules. There's guidelines. There's a playbook that you must execute on to be eligible, of course. But for those that actually want this, why would you not go the route of having a guarantee that literally guarantees your success? Now, I don't mean to say it's going to take 12 months. Again, could happen in 6, seen it happen in 3, could happen in 24. I don't know. The guarantee is we'll build you a 6-figure land business. That's pretty special. But it's so funny, like those that are in scarcity, they cannot wrap their brain around it. I'm not here to judge them. We're all at different steps in our journey for sure. But it shows us how much we are our own worst enemy. You see, if you have low self-esteem and you don't believe you are worthy, and the woman or the man of your dreams comes up to you and asks you on a date, your first thought might be, is this a joke? Where's the hidden cameras? They can't be talking about me. Are they fucking with me? It's the same thing here. It's like when you believe there's not that level of abundance out there, if someone couldn't make a claim like that and couldn't stand behind it, say that's malarkey. That's false. You could get smacked upside the head with it, and people are still, oh no, I can't. My favorite way to think about this is, I don't even know if I talked about this before on here. I very well might have, and if I did, I apologize. But it's a powerful analogy, right? So we're house shopping here in Bali. We come back in November to like officially lay roots. We got some business to take care of in the States and going to Europe and then doing the event in Las Vegas. So we're looking, shopping around, looking at houses. The crazy thing about Bali, it's wild, dude. You could find a studio for $300 a month. You could also find a house on the beach for $30,000 a month. The choice is yours. It runs the gamut. So there are many, many houses that are nice. Let's say they're $3,000, $2,500 a month. They're nice, and they're cheaper than some of the other ones we might look at. Let's say the one that we might look at as whatever. It's $6,000 a month, right? Now, let's say I'm looking at $2,500 and a $6,000 a month one. Now, obviously, the scarce mind says, well, $6,000 a month, that's a lot. But What if that $6,000 a month house is actually worth $10,000 a month and it's priced at $6,000? While the price is higher, the value is way stronger. And same thing, it's like at $2,500 a month, what the house is only worth $2,000? Or even if it's just worth $2,500, the value is not there. And so when you're in scarcity, you only think about price, you never think about value. And the truth is, while a house isn't a money-making endeavor per se, let's say it's a watch, right? Let's say it's a watch, because that could be a money-making endeavor. You could buy that Casio for $100. No value. It's worth $100. You're buying it at what it's worth. I should say there's no equity in it, right? Let's say there's a, I don't know, beautiful Cartier or an AP. It's an AP Royal Oak. It's a $45,000, $50,000 watch. You can get it for 25 grand. So let's say there's $20,000 of equity that you'll capture in that watch, but you don't have $25,000 to your name. But the value is so strong. Would you not go and try to find that $25,000 because there is so much upside there? The value is so immense. You would. But again, when you're in scarcity, you don't believe that that's even possible. You like, it's just like Casio, Casio, Casio. Now, I understand this price to value thing doesn't work in every example in life, because there are some things where price is the best thing to shop off of. Like if you are down to your last dollar, buy the $2 per pound chicken breast. Like you should. Don't go buy this $8 a pound grass-fed organic whatever. You got to be kidding me. All over my new shirt. That's okay. Yeah, fascinating. It's fascinating because I've been on both sides of the camp. I have a lot of empathy for it. I was there, and I still deal with my own demons around abundance and beyond that. Of course, money, but I think abundance stretches way beyond money. Way beyond money. You know, when you're in scarcity, everything's a zero-sum game. If your friend likes another person more, that's a problem. If your partner used to have an ex-partner that like you think is better than you, that's a problem. Like everything is zero sum. It's win or lose, win or lose, win or lose. Where abundance is, no, the world doesn't work like that. At least in my opinion. I'm sure there's contexts where it does, maybe the stock market or something like that. But I think in most kind of natural phenomenons, it just doesn't work like that. And even if it does work like that, it's not set in stone. You might win today, you lose today to win tomorrow type thing. And what's even more interesting is that as I found myself in this weird position of coaching and teaching land, we get a lot of folks that we talk to, a lot of personalities that you interface with, a lot of people at different parts in their personal journey and their business journey and financial journey. And so you just see a lot of that. And it's really interesting to me. You know, the people that I, and maybe you even look up to that are like really at the top of the food chain for whatever it is that they're doing. Let's just say land, for example, right? The people that are like really killing it, they're always paying for information. They are always seeking mentorship. They are always finding a way to learn from someone that has what they want. And yet you might think that those people have it all figured out. So why would they need to do that? They could just learn from experience. No, they know that there's risk involved trying to learn it on their own. And time is really the only resource that matters. And it's going to have way higher return on their energy to go give dollars to someone than it is to go try to hit their head against the wall for 2 years to figure out how to do a subdivide or, you know, whatever. It's like, yeah, man, the people that have been in the game for the longest that I look at in land, they are always, I always see them joining new programs, whether it's ours or other, like they're always investing. And that's just so fascinating to me. And I think people have forgotten that we live in the weirdest time in history. We live in a point in time where no information is coveted. It is all available, but don't mistake like the free information for being all the information. That is the tip of the iceberg. There is a real cost to free information. It's a great way to get into the little world and down into the rabbit hole. But even beyond that, through the internet, you are connected with every human being nowadays. And so paying for information is easier than ever. And I don't say that as like a, oh, shameless plug, you should join Leah. It has actually little to do with that. It has a lot to do with just what I've witnessed from seeing people on two sides of the spectrum. the haves and the have-nots and how they view investing in themselves and how they view and going in, chunking down and shortcutting their process. It's just shocking to me. Again, we really do live in a world where, like, to find people that have what you want and have the information that you want, it's just right there. You know, I'm going down this rabbit hole. Well, I have been going down this rabbit hole for a long time around religion and history and spirituality and potentially higher levels of consciousness and interdimensional beings and maybe aliens, whatever. Like, been into that world for a long time. And I keep on getting deeper into, I'm getting to the points in the rabbit hole that don't even, like, people are like, how the fuck did you end up here? I'm in group chats where we're going so deep on esoteric wisdom from 20,000 years ago. You'd be like, these guys are speaking a different language. And there's a few folks in this little world that, you know, you start to kind of glom onto. You really like their information, you like their views, you like how maybe impartial they are with this stuff. One of the guys I think has been putting out great information is a guy named Billy Carson. A lot of great free stuff, a lot of great podcasts and whatnot. And they've started their own kind of networks called Forbidden Knowledge. I think the branding's pretty whack, to be honest. Sorry, Billy. You seem like a really cool guy, but the branding, I think you guys are due for a rebrand. Anytime you have a number where it's like actually numerical and it's not just written. Now, I don't know. This is not my vibe. But with that being said, don't judge them at face value for the marketing. The content is amazing. And the ideas are original and really interesting. And maybe you don't agree with all of them. Maybe all of them aren't true, but I think they're pretty impartial to the ideas. And I respect that. They've released like this kind of, I guess, channel or subscription for $8 a month. You can get highly produced deep dives into Anunnakis or the Emerald tablets or ancient Sumerian cuneiform tablet. Like, for $8 a month, you could tap into information that literally 100 years ago, good luck, you'd have to go find the Emerald tablets yourself, which I don't think anyone's even found them. So it's just a wild, wild time that we live in. Everything's at your fingertips. And with that, you are responsible for everything in your life. You always have been, but even more so today, there is no reason to be ignorant. If you have an internet connection, especially if you live in a first world nation, it's like there is no reason you can't learn what you want to learn, and as a byproduct, potentially have what you want to have, because ultimately wisdom or knowledge or information is the gateway. Like, that's the door that opens up Pandora's box. So take with that what you will. If you guys enjoy these videos, give it a thumbs up, a subscribe, a comment. It means a lot. Take care of yourself. Be kind to yourself. Believe that absolutely everything is possible, and get out of your own way. Remove this scarcity nonsense. Invest in yourself. Invest in your education. Build your dream life. It's possible. It's possible. I've done it. I never thought I would have done it. There's no evidence as to why I should have done it. And here I am. And your dream life might look a lot different than mine. That's okay. For me, it's hanging out on a Thursday, smoking a cigar in a treehouse in Bali, about to go box for an hour and a half, to then go and film content at a content studio, to then, though, have a call to plan our mastermind, to then go take our massage therapists and their family out to dinner at an Italian restaurant. Literally, our local massage therapist, we're taking out her sister, her husband, taking them all out to dinner. That's my dream life. That's my dream life. I want random acts of kindness. I want serendipity. I want athleticism. I want challenge physically. I want challenge mentally. I want new ideas. I want abundance. I want overflowing abundance. And you should too. There's nothing wrong with being rich. There's nothing wrong, as so long as you're using it for good. And for good is relative. For me, taking new friends out to dinner is good. I'm buying a little table at this fight on Sunday, and we're bringing some friends. It's like, no, look, I got it. Like, to me, that's where making money is so powerful, to be able to do things like that and to not sweat it, and to, yeah, be able to do things for yourself and for others, and to not sweat it. The greatest thing about making money is to no longer have to think about money, because thinking about money is one of the biggest wastes of your time. Truly, it is a dead end. It is a false idol. It is nothing to worship, but it is a tool to utilize. Never forget that.